Every single person watching this video should realize that it is time for every one of us to start preparing for war. Whether war comes to the country you live in or not, it is going to affect you. And there's a large possibility that the events that we're seeing in the world today are related to the red horse of the apocalypse, the second horse of war. As an exercise in preparedness, we can have a good look at the events that are unfolding in the world and try to predict what comes next so that we can prepare ourselves. Throughout the centuries, there have been many wars, and it begs the question, what's different this time? And the reason why we want to know what the difference is this time is because it helps us to prepare for what is to come. If we're able to determine where we are on the timeline in biblical prophecy and scripture, then we'll be better able to prepare for it. And you might be watching this thinking that we're on the brink of World War III. You might be preparing for biological warfare or even nuclear warfare. From a preparedness perspective, the better we know our enemy, the better we can prepare for their advances. And if we know the challenges we're going to face, be it fuel shortages, media censorship, a lack of resources such as food, or even just a lack of communication, if we know what we're going to face, we can prepare better for it. Luckily, we've got a cheat sheet. In Revelation 6 verse 4, the Bible tells us that the second horse of the apocalypse was a red horse, a fiery red horse, and unto him was given the power to take peace from the earth and to cause people to kill one another. It also says that he was given a great sword, which usually refers to a great war. So that tells us that the entire earth will be plunged into war or unrest. But if what we're looking at is the second horse of the apocalypse, then the first one must already have passed. So let's stop there for a moment and vet this first. And note here that we are just speculating. The first horse of the apocalypse is a white horse, like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And unto him was given a bow, which usually throughout the Bible speaks of lies and deception, and a crown. Now here we can ask ourselves, where have we recently heard of a crown being applied to a disaster? And if you look up the definition of corona, what you will find is that it is similar or liking to a crown. So let's say that the pandemic was the first horse of the apocalypse, and speculate here that we might be on that place in the timeline where we've seen the first horse, the white horse, and we're awaiting the second horse, or we are looking at the second horse of the apocalypse. The events that follow the red horse of the apocalypse are the black horse, which indicates hyperinflation and famine, the pale horse, by which time we will have seen a killing off of a quarter of the Earth's population, a worldwide earthquake, the destruction of a third of the world's vegetation and plants, which will further reduce our food sources, a meteorite called wormwood, which turns our water undrinkable, the desecration of the temple, the implementation of the mark of the beast with the rising of the antichrist, mandates against buying and selling for those who do not bear the mark of the beast, and finally we see the battle of Armageddon in the valley of Megiddo. Now, just because exactly where on that timeline we are right now is speculation, doesn't mean that we shouldn't prepare. We should always be prepared. So what can we do to prepare for war and the famine and hyperinflation that follows it? It was really interesting for me to see how many YouTube channels that are survival or preparedness based channels are run by ex-military people. It tells me that those people, having served in the military or having been involved in military operations, have found the need to learn survival skills and have also found solace in the wilderness. Living a life of preparedness also seems to rank very highly on their list of priorities. In the coming weeks and months, we should pay close attention to what those people recommend we do, because they'll be put on high alert and because they have previous experience with war. The other thing that we can do to prepare is to take a good look at what the scriptures prophesies comes next. The black horse of the apocalypse, carrying the scales. So the famine and hyperinflation brought on by the black horse of the apocalypse should not affect those in power. It may well also indicate the entry point for the implementation of the one world financial system and the one world order. So here are a couple more things that we can do to prepare. Firstly, liberate yourself financially, liquidate. In other words, pay off all of your debts as fast as you can. Convert any extra funds that you've got into tradable goods such as precious metals or medications or anything that you can barter and trade with. Remember that bank accounts can be frozen. Do not trust the financial system of this world. Make sure that you have got people who you trust that you can barter and trade with and who can support you. Store up enough fuel and water for you and your family, and make sure that you are geared to leave your home and to find shelter in the wilderness or to flee to a different location should your home become unsafe. If you are at risk of being invaded in the city that you live in, make sure that you know all of the roads into and out of the city, because you'll never be able to predict where you can go or where you can or cannot evacuate to. Study the scriptures. In the description of this video, there is a timeline here, and we are tracking true to course at the moment. Studying the scriptures is going to give you an indication of where we are on the timeline and what to do and prepare for next. Finally, in Matthew 24 verse 6, Jesus says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but do not be alarmed, for the end is yet to come." And he lists the sequence of events that follow thereafter. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. This is followed by famine, earthquakes in various places, and these are the beginning of labor pains. Labor pains tell us that the sequence of events that follow that are going to become incrementally worse and quicker in succession. Today I want to urge you to prepare for war and to live ready.